Khalid Ajmain.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode with Real Talk Khalid Ajmain podcast. And today we have an interesting and important topic to discuss about since we have left Ramadan, which is Hari Raya, and I'm sure that everyone has their own kind of experience with Hari Raya. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. Some people isolated themselves, and some people suppress their emotions to be part of the gathering in Hari Raya. So we know what is the reality of Hari Raya. We know that Idul Fitri is what Imam Shafi'i said is one of the night that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala accept our doa. And Sayyidina Ali said that the one who rejoice in Hari Raya is not the one who wear the best clothing or even eat the best food, but is the one that gain fully forgiveness from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So returning back to the fitrah, as we know also, in many parts of the world, Hari Raya is only one day. Right? Today they celebrate Hari Raya, then that's it. The next day everybody qada their sleep from Ramadan, because the last 10 nights of Ramadan they've been qada for Lailatul Qadar. So in Singapore and Malaysia, it's different. We celebrate 30 days. That's why there's a lot of songs of Hari Raya, and we also like to sing and like Raya Raya Raya. Okay, no. Right. So okay lah. I start with before that I just introduce that on my left we have millionaire guest Hanis, and we have Kismet on the far right, our representative of the underground scene. And then on my right is on my beloved wife, as usual, who's an important guest also. All of them are important to share their thoughts and experience. So I will go on with Kismet first. Okay, Kismet, what does Hari Raya mean to you each time it comes to you?
I think there's so many phases of what Raya means to us, right? In our
Because
life.
when we were kids, it's different.
Yeah.
And when we were youth, also different.
Yeah.
Then the 20s different. Then now the 40s, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how you see it?
Currently.
Through it,
Okay.
how you find it?
I mean, yeah, of course, like childhood, it's so festive, right? So you look forward to, collection, right? And then because it's so festive and it's like something like a child would enjoy, kuih, food, all those what do you call those, bunga api, yeah, and all those things, right? So, and meeting your cousins, playing together. So as a child, I think Raya would be that, yeah. And then as you grow on, your teens or your young adults, it becomes a bit more. I think we feel a bit more jaded, because then we have that maturity of realizing about family, relatives, and all the politics going on and all that, right? So sometimes aside from all these things, you're kind of forcing yourself to go through this, but at the same time that you cannot wait to get out of these gatherings, and go and enjoy the day somewhere else, that kind of thing. But I think in adulthood, currently, I mean the whole facade of it, like what you said, the night of Idul Fitri, first time I'm hearing this, and I feel that everyone has lost the
essence of it.
Yeah, the essence of it, because we see this consumerism part of it, the clothes, the food, and then I guess there's not much there's not much emphasis on the night of Idul Fitri, and also with the gatherings, I think because other places in the world, they only celebrate one day, right? Yeah, but in Southeast Asia, okay, I think maybe it's just us in Malaysia, we celebrate 30 days. So I think there's too much emphasis for the preparations of the month that you forgot the essence of it already. and then it's also dealing with all the baggage that comes into Ramadan. I mean, sorry, into the visiting and everything. You know, like, oh, I have to see this person, I have to see that person. You know, like,
Tak ada silaturahim they say.
yeah, the true essence of it is gone lah. You know, and what is emphasized is like, you know, the like what you say lah, the silaturahim lah. You know, like. And I guess it's easier back then, you know, when everything was just like when you were kids, you know.
I guess what you mentioned is on point. When I mentioned about Imam Shafi'i said that one of the important night that the doa is accepted is the Idul Fitri, right? And that's why we do the takbir. Why? Because after 1 month of fasting, we glorify Allah to the victory that He granted us. Right. But of course now become more commercial. I mean, it's been on that lah, right? But even if the only thing that's significant for me lah, I would share on the Hari Raya is the takbir itself.
Yeah.
Because no matter how old I am, I think I will still cry.
Yeah.
I think the melody of the takbir, right? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I think everyone hits it, the fitrah. That's why it's fitrah, right? But you know, it's interesting lah. I digress a bit lah. My friend, he ever sent me a video long time ago when he was celebrating Eid Hari Raya at I think it was Scotland lah. And he say they do takbir like very monotonous. Is that the right word, monotonous?
Yeah, monotonous.
He say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha. Tak ada feel dia cakap. Then when his turn, he started to do the way the Nusantara does, and then everybody was like, wow, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah. But then again, that itself is so significant for us. Right? And we have to do that takbir until the end of after Solat Raya. If it's Idul Adha, few more days then we stop. So it's interesting actually that we don't reflect on it. Right. So going to Ainun, right, we talk about silaturahim and all that. I always said this very clearly. I think you know. So why silaturahim not in every month? Why silaturahim not in other month? Right. Because in fact, when I see Syekh Mahi in Madinah Bay, right, every day he silaturahim with his mother. Now his mother passed on, may Allah bless her. With his brother Syekh Tijani. In fact, Hanis just came back from Madinah Bay almost a year ago, so mashallah. And he said that, you know, Syekh Mahi always visit his brother who is sick. And it is in our tradition to visit those who are sick. Because in the hadith, where the Prophet, where someone asked Allah, like, where to meet you? And Allah said, if you want to meet me, visit those who are sick. But we don't practice here. I mean, of course, someone who we know, we will try our best, our parents and all that. But our friends, sometimes we are too busy and all that. So it sounds weird to me that we don't prioritize the understanding of that adab lah. And then Hari Raya we emphasize, you know, like macam fully if not, macam you don't practice this silaturahim, you break away this silaturahim, then that means that your life is not full of barakah. But then again, on the other hand also, there are people who went through abuse. I know people who went through abuse, right? And this is very sad in our community. They are Muslims, women who being abused and said that on Hari Raya they have to meet those who abuse them and say, oh, it's Hari Raya, it's okay. So what's your take on it? I know this is heavy to open up, but your take on it?
I think in the first place, like, you know, we emphasize visiting only on Hari Raya. Probably that happens because, you know, on any other day it's difficult. People are too busy. But personally lah, I feel that, you know, now with technology and all that, actually you can message each other very easy, or even I feel lah personally like even Instagram is a way to connect to people even though you're busy. So for me, there are other ways. But then, of course, if you talking about Hari Raya, there is good in it. But at the same time, there's many other things that you need to think about. Like, for example, things that happen, you cannot just sweep under the carpet. Like, for example, as you say, like, if let's say, a relative of yours abuse you, and then you need to visit that relative. And that's a very important question to address because I think that people need to decide. I mean, if you have been abused, then you need to decide. You are the one who needs to decide whether you want to visit or not. You cannot be forced to visit just because someone is your relative. And abuse has happened. And most of the time, there's no apology, and there's not even any, admit. Nobody admits that it happened. So it's just swept under the carpet. So I think that it's important that people understand that if there's abuse that goes on, then it's the right of that person not to visit, because people kind of think like abuse was like so long ago, 20, 30 years ago. So why are you still holding on to it? But they don't see that actually in abuse cases, the effects actually last like even a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I just enter a bit. It's the same as people saying about, the genocide happened 50 years ago. Why are you still talking about it? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't see the impact on the victims and the generations to it.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is generational, and also as I said, like there's it's usually swept under the carpet. So it's like, okay, so everybody's just going to pretend that this didn't happen. You just pretend like, okay, 20 years ago you didn't abuse me, that kind of thing. I think it's just not possible, and it is wrong to actually just ignore it and force the people to visit, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and also I felt that people generalize the whole thing. Macam, it's different when you have a beef with someone, like, okay, I disagree with you, so I have a beef. Then it's different. So you meet and you patch up and you say, okay, I'm sorry. Hari Raya, like, minta maaf, kan. But it's different when someone did something, and the worst part is gaslighting. Like, I remember Sheikh Idris Ward mentioned about this. Even Imam Shuaib Web, about when, I think it was 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong, when Ramadan was about to enter, he said that don't gaslight people to say that, oh, you need to seek forgiveness from me when enter Ramadan, otherwise your ibadah is nullified. And that speaks up for everything. But again, our society, because we thought that we are Muslims, we are perfect, that we should address this, what you call it, idealistically, I would say.
I think, yeah, as you said, there's a difference between, if you have quarrel with someone, or let's say one of your relatives call you stupid one time, then probably you can say like, okay, I forgive you. But when you're talking about abuse, it's not that way. And people tend to generalize like, okay, I also don't get along well with my relative, and I am fine with visiting them, I forgive them, so why can't you? But it's not the same. It's not the same degree of abuse.
Yeah, that is the thing, that the grey area that people refuse to look into it. And I feel sad for people. What people don't understand is that there are two types of people when they respond to the situation. It's either they numb themselves or they become volatile. That means they show their resentment, right? So before we proceed on this, right, I don't want to forget someone on my left, lah, the millionaire guy. Also very important. Hanis, what is Hari Raya meant to you in terms of besides ibadah, like what we've been discussing, the conversation that we had, and what's your expectation of it and how you feel about it?
To me, Hari Raya, I mean, like what Kismet say, it's in phases. So when you were young, Like when you were young, all you look forward for was like bunga api, you know, all the laughters with your cousins.
Your
and all that.
generation got bunga api ke?
Have even until now also. So
How come
the
I don't
money.
know? I don't have.
So the money and all that. But then as you grow older,
How much you get when you were a kid?
alhamdulillah lah, but not much lah, but alhamdulillah lah.
You sure not? That's why it's unforgettable memory. You get a lot, right?
See, last time McDonald ice cream 70 cent lah. Now
What got to do with
$1 plus.
McDonald's?
So anyways, so right now, Hari Raya to me is I don't know, because when I see social media, right, like you see people posting their OOTD, you know, and the whole family have the matching colours and all that, but I don't get to experience that.
You don't want to get married? Of course lah.
And I see me, my parents and my family, siblings and all that.
Okay.
So we are not like those who must have the matching colours and all that. Then,
So do you find it weird?
I felt left out at first.
Why? Why?
Because like, oh my god, like, are they having a much more enjoyable time than me? Like, is that Raya? You know. Then I see them having IG stories and all that. Then you see some everyone having fun, laughing and all that. Then you see my family are very quiet, very isolated. And so I thought that was Raya, you know. And I thought that macam, then what's my Raya? You know? Why am I not having like what they are having? Yeah. So I guess Raya to me is just going with the flow, you know.
But how you feel it now after going through it at the age of 27 now?
I start to accept and acknowledge it, that Raya is not a family thing, but it's actually a personal thing. Like how you went through Ramadan, how you are battling with your desires and all that, and what Raya is all about. You know? Winning over your struggles and your desires, and that's because like people are posting they are happy with their families and laughing and all that, does not mean that they are actually that does not mean that that's the reality, you know. Because at the end of the day, people just want to show that they are happy, but internally we are not sure about that.
Yeah. So the reality is like you are making a personal journey now, and I know that Hari Raya a lot of people affected because like, oh, I'm divorced, I'm not married, I don't have children, and maybe my spouse died. I remember one time our mother passed on, both of us, our mother passed on. So it be a different types of Hari Raya. But I guess like what Hanis is saying, that how you see it. But the problem for many of us pula, we try to emphasize that people need to follow our way. Kadang-kadang, correct or not? So how do you let go of that expectation? Macam in Malay, kau lantak kau lah, kau nak raya sampai pukul 3 pagi ke? Kau nak pakai baju OOTD OOTD ke? Kau nak pakai baju apa? Whatever lah, what baju you nak pakai. I'm not affected. How do we go about this? You first lah, I ask.
I think as Hani said lah, sometimes because we live in a social media age, and sometimes you look at other people, you think that their family is different. I think my family also isn't one who likes to get, we always have different colours. We have our own thing.
Same as my family.
So and also we are a small family. So a lot of people have like huge family, and they have all these big gatherings. And I think the important thing, is going to be a very, very tough time for anyone going through, let's say, like divorce, or they don't have much family members, or they lost someone they love. I think it's a very, very tough time for them during Hari Raya. When they see, I'm sure pretty much even on my Instagram, everybody's posting pictures of them with their family. So I just felt that if that is the case for you, then you should, go back to connecting yourself with Allah. And it's very strange.
Like what Kismet said lah.
Because
the essence of Hari Raya.
Yes, the essence of Hari Raya. Because actually the thing is, actually this day, right, I realised that this Hari Raya, we are so busy that actually is even tough for us to do our zikir. Our prayer is like we are running for time.
I know some shuyu, right? Even those shuyu in Singapore who have passed on, the one that I know personally. When it come to a certain time, right, they just cut off and then they just do zikir or they.
So I think that is the bad part, because we are like spending so much time in the day, throughout the day, just socializing, visiting, which I admit there's some good in it, but then at the same time we are forgetting that we still have all our, in fact for some of us we have like specific time for zikir, whether you can even finish that because you're so busy the whole day.
Terkia-kia lah, they say.
Yeah. So there is some difficulties there, and I think we need to find that balance so that to go back to the fact that Hari Raya is not just about socializing, it's also about you still need to be istiqamah in what you do during Ramadan. So it's not only Ramadan, no? After Ramadan then suddenly everything is out.
I think one important factor that I learned from Sheikh Mahi when I was in Madinah Bay, I always share this about the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam where you ziarah each other for Allah. I think that is an important point. It's not like you go there to show people you have family. It's not that you show people you have somebody. Like, you're like, hey, I have many friends. I have, these are my family. Oh, happening. And I think that's what people don't realize also. The reality of that Hari Raya, right? Because once people go back, right, then you feel empty. Isn't it? You don't see that. But I learned, again, going back to that, right, to what Sheikh Mahi said about the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ share about this man who came to a town, and then the angel dressed up as a man, welcome him into the town, give him salam and all that. And I say, where are you going? He say, I'm going to meet so and so. And then the angel asks, what is your affairs? What is your business with this guy? Oh, it's nothing. It's for the sake of Allah. And then Allah mentioned to that angel, tell him, because of that, I forgive him and the person that he visit. And that is also like what I mentioned earlier, and the adab of visiting people who are sick. That means when you visit someone, you have no other motive except you're sincere. Like, okay, whatever that I done to you, I'm sorry. Or, I'm here for you. How are you? How's everything? You don't ask stupid question. Or you don't ask things that is irrelevant.
Insensitive.
Yeah. Because I got turned off when I was a youth. When I was in Hari Raya, where I heard people talk about how's your exam? How you doing it? Where you going after your N level or O level? Why you cannot be? Then everybody started to share their result. Oh, my son, my daughter, my child, right? I felt that it's turned out. I know some people even had to lie about their children's result. Right? And is that something that is not nice. Why I share about this ziarah is that people use this hadith, but they don't see the adab in it. Right? And also, like Sheikh Mahi was saying that to me was because I was very sick in Madinah. But again, I went to this story. So you know what? I thought that I lost everything in Madinah because we were very sick and we were at our room in Sheikh Mahi home, and we didn't even go wazifah after the third day. So we were there like 14 days. All is in the house. And one time, I thought like, oh, I wasted my time here. I spend so much money, I come, then I never do properly with the ziarah in Ibadah. But when Sheikh Mahi said that, it hit me, like macam, you come here for what? For Allah, right? So if Allah tests you, He told me, Allah will not give a believer sickness until He forgive that believer. And that becomes my turning point, and I would say like a spiritual opening. Because from there onwards, wherever I go, I felt the connection with Allah through Syekh Ibrahim Nias. So coming back to this, it's the same thing that if you want to find that barakah, the goodness in visiting someone, your heart must be synchronized with Allah. Not just for the sake of, I just visit for the sake of visit. Because at the end of the day, something happen between you and that person, you don't like it. And I know a lot of people run away from Hari Raya. I know there's one time I never even visit my family. I'm sorry to say that. When I was growing up, I was 18, 19. But the one who give me the beauty of Hari Raya is actually arwah Syekh Zakaria. Because I started to visit him. And then my mother was like, go, you know. And that's why until today I visited his wife on my first day Raya lah. In fact, my mother also, when my father passed away, we just at home Hari Raya. Whoever younger relatives or younger, my father siblings who are younger come to visit her, that's it. Otherwise she just stay at home. And so it's normal lah, macam not like hype and all that lah. Right. So Kismet, what goes through your mind then? How do you deal? How do you see yourself? Like macam the pressure that, do you have that pressure in saying that, okay, Hari Raya, I have to be in a certain way? Or you just feel like it doesn't matter? Because to me, right, I honestly feel that at one time lah, may Allah forgive me, I feel that people who seek forgiveness in Hari Raya is crap lah. Like they don't mean it lah. But I think Syekh Zakaria was also the one, or my mother also was the one who said, kita ucapkan itu antara kita dengan Allah. Jadi anyone who wants to say I'm sorry or seek forgiveness is okay. But whatever it is, our heart is for Allah. So how do you see it yourself then?
I think I just learned recently that seeking forgiveness has many layers. You know, first is from the mouth lah. You know, the mouth and the heart. You know, like you seek forgiveness from this person. But then, you know, sometimes I wonder if we are really true to ourselves. You know, I mean, and you have to go through a lot of inner work and reflections. You know, having someone to bounce off, you know, your subconscious, and to getting your real feelings out. Because I feel that people who, especially people who have been abused, they have suppressed a lot. Maybe to survive, I don't know. So when you have suppressed everything, right, there's so many layers that you have to go through. And you know, the first layer, maybe you think that, yeah, I want to seek forgiveness from my family, you know, because that's the most raya thing to do, right? And of course, you know, everything involved, like the essence of raya, you know, the takbir and everything, right? That's the first thing that you would think of, what? I mean, when you hear the takbir, you know, your loved ones and, you know, forgiveness and everything. And I realized that, as you go deeper into exploring your own feelings, into your subconscious, you will realize that forgiveness is not as simple as you think it is, because there's so many factions to your emotions that, you know, that will make you think that, hey, so do I really want to seek forgiveness from this person, or should they be the one seeking forgiveness from me, you know? I think if you come full circle, right, you realize that, hey, this is not a one-way thing, man. You know, why am I seeking your forgiveness, you know, when at the same time you should be the one looking at the mistakes that you have done to me as well, you know? And I guess that's what we have put aside also for in Raya, you know, the true feelings that we have for each other. And I guess, like, for someone who is, like I said, for someone who has experienced abuse, you know, like, coming out to the truth of your turmoil takes years lah. You know, and the starting, maybe you will just think that the starting, you just, oh, okay, I feel this way. And then maybe the next day you come up and, oh, actually, I really feel this way, and your emotions is like, how to say, coming to terms with yourself, like, for example, for me, when I scroll, like Hani said, like, he's scrolling through, social media, and he sees other family. To me, I felt like, when I scroll through IG many years ago for Raya, like, I always, have these thoughts in me, like, like, oh, look at them, and then I try to catch myself, like, Kismet, don't be so kental lah,
Kental
yeah, like, don't be so soft, don't be so kental lah, this is not what you want lah, this is not what you need lah, that kind of thing. And then also there's like,
But did you break down on that?
no lah, because I was numbing myself, seriously, like, that's how I think I may be numbing myself lah, like, jangan kental lah, like, don't be so soft lah, like. And then also you see other people having all that, and then also you istighfar, like, because you wish good for the people that you see on Instagram, yeah, and I don't want to feel bad that I feel like how to say, like, they are having something that I want so badly. And then recently I have come to terms that, hey, actually these are my true feelings, why am I telling myself that, don't be soft, don't be kental, if
Sorry, the word kental really like
sorry, that's the best word I can find. But yeah, I mean, like, and when I also seek istighfar with Allah, in like telling him, please forgive me, Allah, for having these feelings, and I remember once Ainun has ever said before, you can never hide your emotions from Allah. And who am I to kid, man? If I feel this way, I feel this way. And now I guess, like, I'm trying to go with what I feel as honest as I can. And it's tough, because, like, it's tougher dealing with clarity than numbing yourself. It's numbing yourself, you just go as it is, Yeah. So, like,
it takes years lah. It's a journey.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a process.
Yeah.
But what would you advise for people going through that? Like they've been keeping to themselves, like, numbing what?
Yeah.
What your advice is to them?
I think my advice is to be as honest as you can with yourself. Don't try to hide anything.
Yeah, but how do they, as I know now, how do they then move about? You see, I realize Singaporeans, right, they are not independent. Macam when you say something, then they like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? You get what I mean? Macam, you show me lah how I really want, but you show me lah. It's not like macam in some places where whatever Kismet mentioned, people get the idea already, like, okay, this is what I need to do. But in Singapore, I realize, like, you need circle, you need space, and you need, like, people say, okay, you do this, and then you do this. It sounds like therapy lah, kan? But it is something that people cannot catch out of the blue. You get what I mean? Macam when I say inner work, then people say, oh, how to inner work? How to, you get what I mean? Yeah. So what would your advice be? I always say to people nowadays, istihara, who you should be around with. Istihara, what is your next step should be. What is your advice then?
I think it's important, first of all, actually, to acknowledge what you feel, not just numbing it. That's why I said, like, to people who really cannot take it, right? And I think maybe some people won't like it, but I say, if you really cannot take it, then you don't need to visit whoever it is that you do not want to visit.
And that's why some people cut everything off, right?
Yeah, and I'm saying this not because I'm saying, like, you cut your silaturahim or something like that. But what I'm saying is that you actually need time to heal. Really, like, you cannot force yourself, and you cannot, as Kismet said, like, you cannot lie to God also about what you feel. You can say whatever it is, you can try to visit or what, but then how you feel will not change, and Allah knows how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So the important thing is to give yourself time to heal. So if you cannot visit, then don't. And then even if other people like, you know, blame you for it, then you just have to, you know, go through it lah. Like, you know, just ignore. And that's what you need to do to heal. Up to a point where maybe, depending on what exactly is the issue, right, that you feel more comfortable to visit. And that may take years, I don't know. But you need to put inside your heart that, okay, I need time to heal. And I need to give myself time. And I cannot deny this emotion, because the more I deny, the worse it gets.
I think the challenge will be the people around them.
Yes.
You know, there'll be, I mentioned again, the gaslighting, or people who generalize everything. Like, oh, why you don't want to visit, you don't want this, you don't want that, what kind of person are you, what kind of family you. But for someone like me, I'm just being honest lah, I don't care. If I cut, like, you know, I just on my way. But some people, they are not, because of their character. They are nice people, you know. They are soft and gentle. So this is also the challenge that a lot of people are facing. Like, how do we deal with this kind of response to us? How to be like you lah. That's why I like the old Malay proverb. Buat bodoh.
What?
Buat bodoh lah.
Huh? Buat
Buat
bodoh.
bodoh lah.
Okay. Buat bodoh.
Ya wah, buat apa? Buat bodoh lah. And I've heard that Syed Abdul Aziz said sometimes it's good to be like Khalid. He ever said that lah. I laugh lah. It's like, why? Just don't care, just move around and go, you know, nothing happen. Not that I feel like it's not that easy also, but yeah, if you need space, you need space lah. Yeah. And I think nowadays people expectation is so high to a point that everybody must be happy in Hari Raya. Correct, Hanis? So are you happy or not in Hari Raya?
I mean, I'm only looking forward to ketupat rendang.
Like me if I go to Syed Zakaria, Umi, I will say, oh, Umi got satay. Satay goreng and also the sambal goreng pengantin.
I think talking about Umi, right, I just felt lah, I think visiting Umi was one of very different Hari Raya visit.
Umi is a Syed Zakaria wife lah.
So I really felt, because when we visit her, like, she talks a lot about, you know, her experience with Syed Zakaria and the zikir, how it helped.
Habib Muhammad bin Salim Al
Yeah, she talked about the wali. So it's like something totally different from, you know, what we talk about during Hari Raya.
And I think this is that's why it goes back to the adab of the ziarah, right? And also that's why it's important who you ziarah and what you talk about lah. I mean, doesn't mean you have to be religious, you know, but something that capture the person who comes to your home, that brings barakah to your home. And I remember that the wali also said lah, when people come to your house, they are the guests of Allah. So the adab is very important. Bukan tanya, kau dah kahwin? Kenapa tak kahwin? Kau ni cerewet. My wife always kena like, why you don't have children? You're not lonely ke? Then I was like, how many people have children? They are more lonelier than my wife. I mean, seriously lah. I mean, you see how people see things outwardly. And that is very sad, because we disconnect ourselves with our soul. Isn't it, Anis?
Yeah. I think speaking about adab, you should also remember that the timing that you come to people's houses.
That one don't say lah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's unannounced. Sometimes it's really late at night.
Sometimes
you cannot take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm around the area, you know, just for a while.
Tampines, of course lah, the Malay heartland.
Yeah, and then when you come to people's houses, what do you look at, and you know the rooms that you should enter. I think that all of that plays a part.
I remember Ustaz Fauzi, right? You mentioned this, it's very interesting. Ustaz Fauzi, who is Madihum Mustafa lah. When we first shifted here, they came to our house, Madihum Mustafa, some of the ustaz lah, they read Burda. Then I said, I'm so sorry, like, you know, nothing much I can give. You know what he said? He said, Sidi Khalid, Rasulullah SAW advised us, when we come to someone's home, don't look around and don't look at what they're doing and don't look at them. just focus on yourself. It's just beautiful what you said. Some people come to Hari Raya 2 a.m. 2 buses. Mampus. If I put outside, no visitor after 9 p.m. No, but I understand the thrill of it. But thrill lah, we say thrill lah. But it doesn't make sense. Isn't it? It doesn't make sense. I mean, when I was growing up in the 80s, when my father was, we were first at my grandmother house, home, then my grand aunt home, which is my mother's side lah. Because my mother grew up with the grand aunt. And then we go to his cousin, that's it. That means you can see when they meet, like, okay, how's your life? How's your health? Everything okay? Like Syed Mahi lah. He don't Syed Mahi or anybody, I don't see them go as unless they know you're married, ada anak, berapa anak, you know. And when they ask you something that can make you feel awkward, but actually adab. Macam Abid Ali lah, he ask me, sudah kahwin belum? Abid Ali bin Jaafari dah belum? Tak mau kahwin ke? Dia tanya, you know, dia ask you, InsyaAllah kahwin, minta doa sama Allah, kasih jodoh yang baik. And that's where I met my wife lah after that. So it's different lah. So the tone and all that is very different, and this is adab. It goes back to adab. And also I realised the pressure that we put ourselves unnecessarily. So me and my wife, we have cutting point lah. Usually after first day raya, Maghrib we back home. We don't want to penat-penat. Whoever I miss lah. I said I'm sorry. Not you are not meant for me. I'm not meant for you.
But I think one of the important things about, you know, adab, the etiquette of visiting, right? Another thing is actually I feel like people shouldn't talk about their children to other people in front of their children, because nowadays I think kids pick up very fast. Even at 4-5 years old, they are already listening in to what the adults are speaking about them,
and
I think they are affected, because I saw like today, right, the millennial generation, like most of them do not like Hari Raya. So the question is why?
Correct.
Yep.
True.
So the question is why? What happened that, you know, this becomes such a, you know, a festivity that nobody likes? So I think partially is because of what we hear during Hari Raya, what people say to each other.
Yalah, yang ada dia ask like, kau dah gemuk
Whatever it is I mean, not only that, but even
that
even a child doesn't like to be talked about to other people, no? No matter what it is.
What about adult
Yeah. So they can hear and they know what you're talking about, especially now. So you shouldn't even mention like, oh, he's struggling with school or whatever to the you know, to the in front of the child.
Yeah, and
I
then
think that builds like
low confident.
not only that, but like they will not like this
Yalah.
visiting and all that, because they remember it as something that is not good.
I had that experience. Like, I say, why people like to talk about each other? Or why people like to ask things that doesn't matter to them? Why you want to meddle with people's life? You talk about religion, you talk about this, but then suddenly you want to meddle people's life. I mean, you can see, you can show care and concern with adab. Okay, you can ask someone, what are you doing now? And the person say, I'm not working. Oh, may Allah give you rezeki. May Allah give you work. Instead of, how long have you not working? Why you are not working? Why? Why you lazy, is it? Oh, cow. And it goes on and on. And I felt that that's why family disintegrated, that we don't like to talk about this, but it's the reality actually. You know, they call it people become the Grinch in the Hari Raya. Like if they can sabu Hari Raya, they can sabu Hari Raya. I know of when my wife was saying about the millennials don't like Hari Raya, right? I know quite a number of them who after Solat Raya they just go home and sleep. They just not bothered about going out or spending time with people. And there are those who, when you visit someone who like alim, like the sheikh and all that. And then people say, oh, you put the sheikh above everybody. But the thing is, the sheikh doesn't judge you the way how you people judge your own family. Right? I mean, we hear my wife was saying about how Umi Sheikh Zakaria talk about and all that. It's true. Even you can see Sheikh Zakaria, his daughter, all that, when they met, they just talk nicely. Like, hey, how are you? You okay? Oh, lama, been long time we didn't see you. How is it with you? You get along. Your health okay now? They don't ask you like macam things that none of your business, that kind of thing. Alright. So Hanis, so moving forward in this Hari Raya, right? How what would you describe to people then if they have trouble in dealing with anxiety or emotions turmoil, expectations, like should I or should not I? Your age group.
Okay. Honestly, when you feel all those, you really have to take a step back and be mindful of how you react and respond to things. Your emotions. Are you feeling turmoils, uneasiness, anxiety when you're nearing someone or entering someone's houses? And then you should really be mindful of that and reflect on it. Like, where does it come from? Like really, where does this come from? Why do you feel anxious when you are entering this house or when you are speaking to this auntie or uncle and all that? Because I felt that, recently when I met my last year Hari Raya, this uncle of mine, he came to me and he asked me, so Hanis, what are you doing now? That's the typical question. I told him I'm working, at the same time I'm studying at madrasah. So he asked me, what do you get from that? Then he walked away. Then he doesn't even wait for me to give an answer and all that. So it affected me. But then you realize that whatever, like how a person like responds or react to you is a reflection of who they are and not you. So you should really just be focus on yourself. Like Kak Ainun say, connect to Allah, connect to the Prophet, and really just focus on your reactions, your responses, and take it easier. You don't have to be happy or show people that you are happy. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have this anxiety, but just acknowledge it. Don't deny it, and really ask yourself, where is it coming from?
Yeah. But then again, kan, thanks Hanis for that. It's very important for young people to understand that. But then again, even if you look into the Hari Raya song, right? Many of the Hari Raya song, I'm not talking about the Gen Z Hari Raya, like today kind of Hari Raya, like happy, hippie. But if you look into those days where in the 60s, 70s, 80s, like, many of the Hari Raya song is a reflection of the human struggle. Do you realize that? It's all about I'm not able to be somewhere or I'm not. But people don't understand. Like macam it's a human struggle because forgiveness. I'm alone. Nobody's there, or I lost someone that I love. Maybe my parents. I could have done something, but it's not about trying to be perfect. You know what I mean? It's their song is a coping mechanism for them to move forward, and then somehow it is inspiration. I felt Allah give them the inspiration through their music that it may inspire you. Because some of the songs that I hear, right, I listen back like 40 years ago, kind of when I was growing up. I realized like, now that my mother is not around, my father is not around anymore, it's really between you and Allah. In that raya. Right. And it's not about you need to be perfect in everything that you do or every responses in Hari Raya. It's like one of the song lah we always like to sing lah yang ku pohon maaf dan restu kan. But that itself is when my mother is no longer around, then I think back like, oh wow. But it is that I know I'm not perfect and I will never be perfect. And I know that you are also not perfect and you will never be perfect. So this is the way to let it go. So there, maybe we need a Hari Raya song like Let It Go, Let It Go. Right? So Kismet, in a sense of looking into what you went through and the conversation that we had about Raya, right? Do you realize? Do you see yourself? I mean, not yourself lah. Do you see how people need to gain that strength being alone? And what would you advise to people through your own journey?
I think you can only gain strength through clarity lah. I mean, you have to be real to yourself. I find that people always delude themselves. They always delude themselves with ideals, and I'm also guilty of it. Like, because of what I have been deprived of, I have my ideals that I want so badly, and breaking that is very difficult. It will take years, but you just have to be honest and to yourself, really. And in the end, I guess we all die alone. Sorry to be so morbid, but in this, like, you came here, alone. I mean, your exterior, your family, your social systems is just you put here, to deal with them, for the sake of Allah, as a test, for you in this time that you're here. So, in our grace, we are alone. So going into yourself is a very difficult thing to do because we have hung on to our social system so long. But strength is in traveling inwards. Yeah. And I recently feel that if you travel inwards to gather your strength, right, you have more strength to deal with your social systems. Yeah. And that's a plus point. I mean, in coming Raya, you don't have to give in to the social norms and force yourself to. If you can, you can. If you want to leave, if you want to leave a gathering, just do it with adab. After you've not been able to take it, just excuse yourself. Just go with the truth of what you're feeling at that point of time lah. Yeah. And if you don't want to have a raya, if you want to sleep in, like what Hanis say lah, like reflect on it. Where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? Explore, reflect, and write. You will come to the how do you say? You'll definitely come to the reason of why you feel this way inside. Yeah.
How about you, Ainun? In a sense that, okay, let's say dealing with other people is easier lah because they are not related to you. For example, even if it's, let's say, your auntie or even your uncle, and but what if your parents then? Let's say you're experiencing something that maybe abusive relationship. How you forgive yourself to a point that you cannot carry yourself in Hari Raya. And this is something that people, I think the problem of society is, again, we expect Muslims to be perfect. Maafkan je lah dia pun tak perfect. No, forgive him, he's not perfect, he is a human being. But people don't understand the impact, like what Kismet said, the impact of being abused. And abuse here not necessarily physical. It can be spiritual, financial, right? Verbal, mental. So how do we go along with this in saying that I forgive you, but I just don't want to talk to you anymore for now? Yeah.
I think forgiveness has many layers.
Like what he said lah.
Yeah. So, I think that, sometimes you think like you have forgiven, but then you realize that maybe it's one layer of forgiveness. So a lot of people tend to deny that, like they just want to say that I have forgiven because there's a pressure to forgive. Because if you're not forgiving, that means you are not a good person.
Good Muslim. That's
You're
the
not a good
keyword.
Muslim. Yes. So you have to forgive, somehow forced. But then you cannot, as I said, you cannot hide anything from God. So you must deal with what you feel. If you are not ready, then don't force yourself. If you do not want to visit, even if it's your parents, then if it involves abuse and all that, then don't. But work on yourself and work on how you feel and process it. Like, okay, like you can do journaling or you can even go for therapy, whatever it is, for you to process how you actually feel and not to deny it. And that's the most important thing. And I think that, talking about this visiting thing, I feel that people should also be more open to accepting when even their own family or their own extended family or friends don't visit them. I don't think people should be like pressured into visiting. There can be many reasons people don't visit. Maybe their children are not well, or their children not having problems, or maybe someone
Or their
has
work shift.
or someone has anxiety. So it goes both ways. If we ourselves give ourselves space, at the same time when people don't visit us, we should not feel like, okay, how come you didn't visit? Last year you visit. So we should also reflect on ourselves. Like we should not expect people to visit too, even if it's our own blood. Like even our siblings or our nephews, nieces, that kind of thing. So I feel that we should, as a society, be more open when people don't visit. We don't get merajuk, no?
And I think sometimes the problem in our community is the Malay, they call it apa tau, mengira. Mengira in English count, but not kena lah.
Calculative.
Yeah.
Calculative lah.
My translation pun.
Yeah, like for example, like last time I visit my aunt. How come the children never visit or that kind of thing?
That's why I say mengira lah. Calculative. She got the Malay word right. Yeah.
So we need to get rid of that lah. Like if people don't come for whatever reason, don't get offended.
Kismet, just now you saying that forgiveness got many layers, and we keep talking about it. It's interesting. Hari Raya forgiveness. Oh, dahsyat. Right? Do you think you are able to forgive those who abuse you? If there is, if there is.
Like we have mentioned, there's a lot of layers lah.
Yeah, but you yourself
Yeah,
right now.
I think the top layer would be like, yeah, I forgive you, but of course, you have to look into your emotions, and it's okay if you don't forgive at the moment, It takes a long time, it takes years, and at the end of it, even if you cannot forgive, and then so be it. I mean, this is where you take it everything to Allah.
But that's the key, right? You're saying that if you cannot forgive, so be it. But another point that is very important is what I'm looking at. You are not, so don't get me wrong. Some people, they cannot forgive, they end up in resentment. So you really want that person to suffer. That is different, correct or not? So that means that you still need work on yourself. This is what I'm trying to say. So people sometimes confused, no? So when you say that I cannot forgive you, that means that, you macam mau say hati gelap like you are vicious person isn't it?
I find it very strange because this concept of forgiveness, because I heard one of the scholars online, he was saying like, if someone abuse you, it's okay for you to still meet them and all that, but then that in the end they will be punished in hell for what they did. But I felt that is a very strange way of looking at it, because I don't think it's about wanting a person to suffer because they abuse you. I think if that's what you look for, then in a way you have not healed. Because I don't think
That's an interesting point. If you want the person to end in bed, that means you're not healed. So how do we go work on it?
I think it's a long work lah. It's a long process of inner work, as you mentioned. And I think the fact is, no matter, like, even in the worst cases of abuse, right? I think, in fact, I have seen, like, the really worst case of abuse where the rape victim actually says, like, she really does not want anything bad to happen to that person lah. So how do you get to that state is actually through really processing your own emotions. And I think it's wrong because maybe people who have not been abused, they think like that is the correct way to think about it. Okay, you just meet the person, but then you know that they will get suffering in hell. But that is not going to make that person who is abused better, no? Really, it's not going to make you feel better about the whole abuse. It's not going to make you feel better that someone is going to suffer for eternity. I don't think that's it.
How about you?
I think it's holistic, like mental, spiritual. I mean,
And the funny part is not so funny lah. The interesting part is when people, they think that they are in tarika, right? They say, oh, it's okay, just forgive it. You do zikir, you finish. Do you agree?
no, I think zikir is not enough. I mean, zikir is very important. Yes, zikir opens up a lot, and cushions your heart. I mean, because selawat does everything lah. Selawat. I mean, for a person who has been through abuse and has never felt love before, you feel love through the selawat.
The Prophet.
Yeah, and with love, you have a bit more clarity to think, and this is where the mental work comes in. Yeah, it's holistic, and of course, physical as well. Your physical body. But yeah, zikir alone is not enough, really.
Yeah, but for you, how you exercise it?
Forgiveness.
Yeah, everything.
I think really it's like what I said, it's holistic. Like you really, I mean, your mental health. Again, I'm sorry I keep repeating this, but it's, you have to be honest with yourself, because a lot of people who go through therapy as well, they are not honest with their therapist. Then, and if you're not honest with your therapist and you're hiding a part of you inside of you in front of the one who is supposed to be diagnosing you, and what's the point of going for therapy? Yeah, so
It's like going to a doctor, then you don't tell doctor what is your sickness.
Exactly.
The sign, the symptom.
Yeah. So I can't stress, I mean, like, I can't stress enough that you would really have to be honest with yourself. If you think, like, let's say, okay, I mean, in abuse cases, right, the victim always turns out either, like a maximum people pleaser, or some, on the other hand, will turn out to become an abuser as well. If you have to reflect in those two states, right? Like, if you happen to notice, hey, why are people not wanting to be around me? Why do people hate me? People, you get into that victim mindset, but that's when you go for therapy, you have to be really honest and like tell the therapist, people, why are these people running away from me? But instead, if you play the victim mindset, like, oh, this person did this to me, and without even seeing the truth of what you did, and what's the whole point? You can't heal. When there's no truth, you can't heal. Yeah, so, and of course, ibadah and like, your relationship with Allah really plays a part. Where can you hide? I mean, you cannot hide anything from Allah. And if you think you want to hide things from a human, okay, whatever, but your relationship with Allah, He knows everything. He knows your innermost thoughts. He knows your innermost pain. Take it to Him. If you can't be real with, if you can't find a human that you can be real with, then yes, have this space with Allah and tell Him, how you really feel about things, and yeah, zikir and everything. Yeah.
Okay, I think we come to an end to this podcast. Inshallah, we talk so much, and talk so much beneficial, inshallah, and we hope that it bring barakah to all those watching and listening. But before I end, right, I would like to ask each one of my guests to say anything about Hari Raya. You start with Ainun.
I think I think as I said, the most important point is just to recap, is don't be you yourself, don't be very calculative and offended by people not coming. First point. And second point is don't pressure yourself. If you can't do something, then don't. And be kind to yourself.
There's three already. You say 2 points.
Oh,
then
that's
three.
that's two. And then
And then lagi 4 only.
no. Then even if you have anxiety and all that, you need to be in your room, fine. You just have to deal with, maybe your parents or your whoever getting mad at you, then you have to deal with it. But you don't have to force yourself. Third is don't speak about your children to other people in the room because they are listening, even if they are toddlers. So that, we don't develop another generation who also don't like Hari Raya. Because we already have so many who don't like Hari Raya. So make it something that is fun for them rather than, even if they are too tired and they do not want to visit, then I feel we should actually give them space and to rest. Respect them, yes. And then what's fourth?
Oh, I know you. You lah.
Wait, I think
You said 2, now you got 4 already.
yeah, I think that's about it lah.
Okay. I go to Hanis. What would you like to share before we end this podcast?
I just like to share, like really be mindful of how you are feeling when you are near people and like entering the houses and all that. And it's okay that you are not like who they expect you to be. People may have like the families and the society may have expectations of what a man truly is supposed to be, or what, like at the age of 25, who are you supposed to be, what are you supposed to be doing and all that. But it's okay to not be living up to the expectations.
Okay. InsyaAllah. Kismet, anything you like to share?
I
Nak
think-
tunjukkan lagu raya.
I think they've covered everything I want to say, but I think just remember the essence of Hari Raya. Yeah, and I think that's what we usually forget. Yeah, and if the whole world has hurt you, just remember that you still have Allah. Yeah.
Oh, mashallah. I would just like to say Selamat Raya to everyone. Minal Aidin wal Faizin, Idul Fitri Mubarak. And I hope that this podcast for Hari Raya gives some insightful realization, becomes your means of courage to know yourself, to find healing for yourself, and also realizing that our journey is to Allah and is to find Allah. And slowly we work on ourselves to let go of everything. So I pray that Allah accept our doa, accept our tawbah, accept our ibadah, and grant us complete freedom from creation on this day of Idul Fitri. And with this I say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh everyone. Thank you for listening and watching us, and catch us on another episode soon insyaAllah. Idul Fitri Mubarak. Selamat Hari Raya.
Hari Raya.
Thank